Shalom, shalom. Get straight into it. Before I get started, I'm give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Kakadash. And it's Friday. Like Sir Charles Jones would say, you know, made it to another Friday. I don't know if you've been keeping up in the news, but let's talk about this trade war, which eventually turns to a hot war. You know, talking about all these tariffs, 148%, 140% on items from China. So it's saying it's going to lead to shortages here. If they don't reach a deal here soon. But we all know, the brothers is in the know. And this is all the plans of wicked elite, man. Whether it's Trump, Kamala, or whatever puppet they put up there. It's all scripted. They all take orders from somebody higher up. And that's the Rothschilds, the bankers. Like they say, George Carlin says, one big club, and you ain't in it. And that club is the New World Order. The Illuminati, what they call them, But really, they just Satanists at the top. Nothing but straight up Satanists. And they're ready to, herd you people, like cattle, man. And put a chip in you. That's what it's all boiling down to, man. Because, hey, Trump is the cryptocurrency king, so to speak, now, right? He want to get everybody, he want to get the U.S. the cryptocurrency capital of the world. Before he was like, oh, we need sound money. Now this time around, he all about cryptocurrency because he got filled in this time, by the Federal Reserve and who actually runs the country is the Federal Reserve, not Trump. Jerome Powell is actually the real president. And the people above him are the ones who actually run the world. So the world is ran by a small few, man, compared to the billions of people on the planet. So they sat him down and said, look, you're going to push this digital currency this term, and we're going to get these people on these CBDCs, man. We're going to get rid of the dollar, and they're going to get a digital dollar. Like Klaus Schwab said, you're going to own nothing and be happy. And that goes for everybody out here. But the only thing, what he's not telling you is you're going to own nothing and be happy, but you're going to be bagged and tagged and tracked, man. Like cattle. You're going to be branded with that RFID microchip. In your left hand or your right hand, whatever the case may be. You're going to be property of the bankers. This is what it's all about, man. Total control. They want to get rid of the U.S. dollar, and they want to get rid of you people in the process. So let's get these precepts going. This is Ecclesiastes 12:1. It says, and I stood, so like Ecclesiastes 12:1, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, and thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. So yeah, remember your creator in the days of thy youth and your strength. You know, you want to serve the Lord now. So down the road, he'll remember you down the road. You know, while you got the strength to get out and do the work, this is when the time you're supposed to be doing it, man. When you still able to get up and move around. You know, when you get bound to a wheelchair or a damn walker, it's too late to do the work then, man. Much, and you ain't much use to the ministry, you know? I mean, the Lord can raise up somebody like that, but the Lord ain't in the business of wheelchair prophets, man. You know? He don't want you out here on a damn dialysis machine talking about serve the Lord, man. You about to drop dead. You know, so hey, you got to serve the Lord in the days of thy youth. While you still got strength, you still got that light in your eyes, you know? You know, that's a bigger sacrifice because hey, you could be doing anything on a Friday night. You know, I got 1,001 things I could possibly do in the night, but that ain't the case. You know, the Lord had other plans. So here I am. Verse 2, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be darkened, or the clouds return after the rain. So yeah, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, because what's going to darken them? When this World War III kicks off, and these thermonuclear ICBM missiles get shot off. You know? Talks about how much smoke is going, well, actually from the missiles, are going to blot out the sun, man. And from the smoke, the aftermath, the burning, it's going to cover the moon, cover the sun. Verse 3, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, yeah, the keepers of the house, the keepers of the economy, the bankers, Wall Street, stock market, they control all that. You know, it's not a free market. You know, they like to put it out there and say, "Oh, it's a free market," but no, it's actually controlled. Man. You know, the stock market is manipulated. Man. They got a plunge protection team. You know, and they got people in charge of it. And matter of fact, I forget what they call it, but it's something like blue chip stocks. You know, where they get the first number of the stocks or something like that. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've been over it. They get the blue chip stocks, and then they sell like the common shares to you people out here, man. You know, so they get their money no matter what, and your money is just a gamble. You know? It's like going to a casino. But the thing is, you're on the phone calling it in, or you're on the computer making trades. You know, and it's legal in all states. You know, it's a sophisticated, gambling racket, man. They talk about the profit, the shares, you know, the dividends, things of that sort. But the market and the what they call it, the financials, all fudge, so to speak. You know, they can put out a press release, stock goes up. They say something about that particular company, stock goes down. You know, so it's heavily manipulated. set this a little higher. Let's go on. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. So yeah, the workers are gonna be few. As you see, layoffs are coming around, man. That axe swinging. The pink slips are flying like crazy. Verse 4, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird. Yeah, the grinding is low, man. The economy is getting sluggish, man. You know, we're talking about if nothing is met on this trade deal by August, then you're gonna see a recession, which really means a depression, man. We've been in a recession for up 10 years now. America ain't what it used to be. So if they admit to a recession, then it's really a depression. One thing about the media, man. Whatever they admit to, it's worse than what they admit to. They tell you it was in the Iraqi war, a couple 100,000 got killed. Come found out it was over 1 million Iraqis got killed, man. So you gotta watch out for Esau's media, man. That's where he do his dirty work. He get on that news and sell you a dream, man. And you sit there and believe it. Well, it's on the news. Yeah, but you got to verify, man. You got to check other sources. You got to see what other people saying around the world. And then you got to have a little bit of common sense, man. When has this man ever told the damn truth, man? He always been a damn liar. It says, let's hit that again, saying the door shall be shut in the streets. Businesses closing. You just saw one on the news this week that plays Mofo or something like that. They having to shut down. They talking about, oh, it's the foot traffic. No, it's just people ain't got that money like they used to, man. They ain't got all that disposable income. People got it, and most people don't. That's just how it is. So all that disposable income, you can't go out and have a damn $30 meal, and it's the size of a kid's meal. You can only do that so many times a week, man. Till you realize, you know what? I need to stay home and cook. And that's where the people in America finally realize, man, it's better just to stay home and cook, man. You get that same, BS that they serve in these restaurants in your kitchen, man. And it probably tastes better. I won't say probably. Most likely, it tastes better, man. You can only be bamboozled so many times where you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna fry my own fish, and have fish all night long. You know what I'm saying? It says, and grinders cease. Well, let me start from the beginning. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong man shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Verse 4, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. The economy is getting low. They got the big R word, recession. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird. Yeah, there's gonna be no more rising up at the voice of the bird, man. The rooster crowing, because you're gonna be laid off. You know, so you ain't got to worry about getting up at the sound of the rooster. You know, you can sleep in. It says, "And all the daughters of music shall be brought low." Yeah, the music is trash, man. You know, this ain't like the '60s, the '70s, '80s, and up into what early '90s, man. We actually had good music. What we listening to now is straight trash. You know, I don't know what this garbage is now. You know, if you want to hear something good, you gotta go back into the old memory bank, man, and find you something. You know, me myself personally, that's what I listen to all the time. You might have a few. I mean, I'm being generous too. A few good songs to this. But that's it. You know, so the economy is getting low, the grinding is low, and the workers are few. Hell, just take a ride, man. It's people out all day long just riding around. I don't know what the hell they do for a living, you know, but they in my way all day long, going nowhere. I want to know how they making it, man. How the hell are they making it? James 5:1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Verse 2. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth eaten. Verse 3. It's talking about the elite, the bankers, man. You know, the Edomites, so-called white folks, man. Or white people, as they say. Your gold and silver is canker. Yeah, your gold and silver is canker. You know, your whole economy is in shambles right now. You know, they get you on the news. Oh, gold is up. You know, silver up X amount. But the scripture saying your gold and your silver is canker. You know, it's gonna be worth nothing in that day, man. How you gonna eat some gold and some silver when the truck stop running, when the lights go out, when the stock market crash? Who you gonna take that gold to in that day? You know? It says, and the rest of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. So yeah, Esau Edom, so-called white man, you have reaped treasures. Well, you have heaped treasure, so like it together for the last days. You know, because that's all he worried about, man, is gold and silver. Whole country going to shit, and all he's worried about going to space, man. You know, he's worried about how much profit he's raking in. You know, whose oil or land can he steal, man? You know, the scriptures say he got this wealth by lies, treachery, and deceit. You know, so the scripture saying, hey, man, the gold and silver that's cankered, Esau, it ain't gonna be able to bail your ass out when the Lord comes back, man. You can't buy your way out of this. It says, behold, verse 4, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is you kept back by fraud. Yeah, so it says the hire of the laborers have reaped down your fields. And who worked in the fields, man? So-called Negroes primarily, but you had all the tribes in slavery, you know? So-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. And pretty much, put in layman's terms, you fucked us over, man. You know, you went back on your deal with the reparations, man. You know, I don't know how you doing. Good. All right. This is how to get it. I don't even know. So fucked us over with the reparations. You know, you can't get that, and you the one came up with the whole damn plan. You know, you broke all the treaties with the so-called Native Americans. Every single last one of them. Every single last one of them. You know, and then you went down to Mexico. You know, Dominican Republic. You know, things of that sort. And you raped, robbed, and pillaged all that from there to all the way up here, man, all the way up to damn Canada. So you messed us all over, you know, because contrary to your belief, you took like 500 so-called Indians over back to Seville, Spain, man, and you put them to work, you know. So you had them in slavery, man. You know, so we worked in your damn fields, and that's how you pay us back, man. What? Giving us EBT, rappers, drugs, alcohol, single home, you know, single parent homes, locking us up in these damn prison houses, throwing the book at us. And I don't even talk about the so-called Native Americans. They getting it the worst, man. They on these reservations still, and they don't know if they coming or going, man. They don't know who the hell they are, man. You know? It says, "Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped or entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, of armies, man. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanting." So yeah, the so-called white man has been living in pleasure on earth for a while, man. He's been ruling. He's been ruling since the Greeks, man. This man has a long. He had a long streak, man. The Greeks, the Romans. Fast forward today, Americans, British, Australians. You know, the West, pretty much. You know, so you still in power, man. So you can't say the Lord didn't do you a solid, man. He been let you do your thing since the Greeks. You know, just steadily getting over, man. But the Lord set bounds for you, though, man. This is it. It's the last go round for you. It says, "Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanting. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter." Verse 6, "Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you." Yeah, you have condemned and killed the just, who are the Israelites, man. You didn't kill us, raped us, all of the above, man. you know. And like James Brown say, man, the big payback, man, it's coming back, bro. You think the Lord is gonna let you get away with all this? Yeah, He gave you everything you wanted and then some. But the Lord need that back though, man. And I just read in I think verse 3 where it says your gold and silver is cankered, man. You can't pay this ass whooping off you, man. You can't pay to get the Lord off your back. He just sitting back watching, man. He got it all in account. And when you're ready to make his move, it's a wrap for you, bro. Because you know you broke the brotherly covenant, man. You know, I brought that out all the time. Esau Edom, the so-called white man, broke the brotherly covenant. You know, he put his own brothers in slavery, man. His own brothers and sisters. You know, and when we tried escaping during the Babylonian time period, man, he was telling them folks, you know, actually he was help drowning us up. You know, so this man always had that out for us. Always. You know, so it ain't gonna be no type of feelings, man. You know, ain't nobody gonna be weeping for you in that day when the Lord, you know, comes back and do a number on you, bro. I'm trying to be PG much as possible. You know how the spirit get to flowing. You know what I'm saying? Revelation 6:6, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine made in the scriptures, but a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, man. That's what it's gonna take a day's wages soon, man, to buy you a loaf of bread. And this inflation hits, hyperinflation. Right now, we're in the soft stages of hyperinflation. You know, it's gonna take you a full day of work, and by the time you get to the register, the prices already went up. And last I checked, they don't sell half loaves of bread, man. You know, I could be wrong. You know, I've been wrong before. They but I haven't seen any half loaves of bread, man. You know, and you know, it's actually going back to when Rome, when they was cutting I think they call it the denarius, the coin. They was adding all those metals to it, steady cutting the money, man, devaluing the currency. And the same thing America's doing today on that same path. Second Esdras 6:22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall be suddenly found empty. Yeah, because these tariffs, you know, everything in the shelves and the stores all stocked right now. They talking about end of this month, going into June, you can start seeing some shortages. You know, and they said with no deal reached by August, it's gonna be all hell in the streets, man. It's gonna be a straight depression, they say. You know, so hey, you might not want to look down on these homeless people so much, man. Cause here pretty soon, everybody gonna be homeless, man. You know, So you might want to stop being so uppity. Verse 6, second Esdras 6 and 22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Yeah, because hey, these tariffs, man, are messing up the supply chain. You know, could it be this time around? Possibly. But we know eventually, the prophecy, man, that eventually everything's gonna stop. Nothing on the shelves in the store, man. No more trucks running. No more full grocery stores. It's gonna be like in those apocalyptic movies, man. You know how people you go in there and it's like hundreds of people in the store trying to look for the last few canned goods left. Those days are coming here, man. And we fastly approaching. And Trump is the right man in office to do it. You know, he's fucking up everything, man, and we love it. You know, he look like he's the banker's guy. You know, he look like he's the one to finally bring it all to a close. Man. You know, he's looking like the closer. You know, so hey, even Trump came out with a few months ago said, "Hey, it's gonna hurt." You know, when these tariffs and all this supply chain, he said it's gonna hurt. You know, so what that means for Main Street is it's gonna hurt you a lot worse. You know, for the rich, you know, they're not worried about the tariffs and the supply chains. But Main Street, you're gonna be worried, man. You know, that's the easiest thing when you worth $1 billion saying it's gonna hurt. You know, so it could be all hell breaking out in the streets, man. But hey, as the man of the Lord, you know, scripture say his servant shall eat, man. His servant shall drink. So I just gotta keep doing what I'm doing. You know, that don't mean I don't have to be a complete fool. You know, I could go get a few things, but I'm not gonna have a whole damn house full of damn canned goods and shit like that. You know, I can stock up on a few things, but I ain't buying years and years worth of food, you know, storable food, and canned goods to the ceiling. Nothing like that. You know, things I actually really need. You know, I'll put up a few here and there, whatever case. But the rest of it, it's all in the Lord's hand. You know, I just got to stand on His words, and that's it. Hey, scripture say, hey, He feeds the birds, man. So there's nothing to feed you. He makes sure the birds eat every day. So who's to say, man? Everybody sensationalizing these news articles about the economy, the supply chains. But only time will tell, man. Because you got this thing where Esau Edom, he like to put stuff out in the media to see how the people react, man. We want to gauge, the opinion and how people are really responding to this. This man, he sits back and study people, man. Study habits, study buying patterns. So he want to see, or this could actually be what he's saying it is, man. But you got to be circumspect though. This man plays a lot of games, and he like to gauge what's going on with the masses. Are they responding? By going out and stocking up, or they just don't care. You know, and if they live in America, they probably just don't care. You know, Americans don't believe nothing until it actually happens. You got to say, hey man, you about to get hit by this truck, and they got to actually turn around and see the truck, man. Well, no, they actually got to get ran over by the truck, and then they believe, okay, yeah, it was a truck right there. That's how numbskull the American people are, man. But that's what happens when you've been living years and years in a country with excess riches, man. You become like fat sheep, docile. You walk up to the predator, let him pet you. You rubbing all on it, you know. Just stupid. And the elite bankers, they know this, and they got you people fat and stupid, man. All you worrying about is eating all day long, eating and watching YouTube or TikTok. So you right for the picking, or you worrying about what's on Netflix. And the whole time the world around you is changing. You got India and Pakistan getting ready to go to war. You know, you just see what Trump just told, where he want to stop all the flow of oil out of Iran. You know, so you got all this geopolitical stuff going on, and all Americans can think about is fucking buffalo wings, man. A 10 piece or a 20 piece of some damn tacos, man. But hey, as the scriptures say, man, all the storehouses gonna be found empty one day, and then you gonna know at that moment you done fucked up. Cause you're gonna eat roadkill then. You got to go find your neighbor's pet and try to barbecue it, man. Or you gonna get out here on the river and fish all day till your hands bleed trying to catch a boot, or a tin can, whatever the case may be. But those days are coming. That famine is coming, man. And the American people are too soft to survive it, too weak. You know, only the elect in America is gonna make it out of this. That's how bad it's gonna be. If the Lord ain't dealing with you in that day, you're not gonna make it out alive. You are not gonna make it out of here alive. You know, the scripture speaks about how neighbor gonna be against neighbor, brother against sister, brother against brother, man. And y'all gonna fight to the death. So we're coming in some very, very evil days. Yeah, we are in the midst of it, man. If you don't believe it, just go anywhere in any state, any city, go on YouTube and look at the news channels, and you just see people just riding around with dead bodies in their cars, or dead bodies in their houses. It's just we in some peculiar time. Put it like that. It was some guy. He called himself giving his mama an exorcism, and he just stabbed up or something. So hey, you got to watch out here these days, man. Like you're saying, you're a man of the Lord, you got to be circumspect. These people got demons on them, you know, full of demons. And I saw one today. I was getting ready to make my delivery. I pulled up. First thing I saw, I said, damn, demon, right there. And you could just see it. You could just see it on him, man. And and sure enough, he went across the street and started bothering some white guy or something. And they started arguing back and forth. I said, hey, man, when I saw him, before I even put the truck in park, I already knew what I was dealing with. That's why I didn't make any eye contact with it. I didn't speak to him, nothing. Because these people full of drugs and straight up demons, man. And you out here talking to them, having a good old conversation with them. And next thing you know, you're on the news. So that's why I keep it moving, man. I ain't got much to say to nobody, man. I don't know what type of mindset you in. That's how people get you they got to smile at you first. So the spirit keeps me on my toes, man. So the spirit keeps me circumspect to what's going on in the world. You gotta realize what times you're in. These ain't the time to be out here just lollygagging. When I'm done with camp, I leave. I ain't got nothing to hang around for. I don't want to smell the flowers or rub against a damn tree, man. It's time to go. Zephaniah 1 and 10, and it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and an howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. So yeah, that's the stock market crashing. It's gonna be a great crash, man. Worse than the Great Depression. It's gonna be the greatest depression. And you can forget about the soup lines and stuff like that they had back then. It's gonna be every man and woman for himself. And the first to go are the sickly and the elderly, man. And the children. You know? That first wave, the sickly and the elderly. Then slowly, the children. And after that, it's pure Mad Max after that. So if you don't have the means to take care of your child in this day, then either you're gonna end up eating your child, or you're gonna end up, having to bury it back behind the house or something. Man. These are the days that's coming, man. When the economy implodes, and your neighbor's gonna be at your neck, man, with a chainsaw. He's gonna be at your neck with a chainsaw, man. One in on your ramen noodles, man. And if he got to kill you to get him, he's gonna do it in that day. You're gonna want your ramen noodles. You're gonna want your Takis, man. And if you got to kill your whole family to feed his family, he gonna do it. You don't give a damn how many beers y'all share together in the garage, man. You're gonna be his enemy in that day. There's no food on the streets. No food, no water. You're gonna come outside talking to him, and you're gonna turn into a damn turkey, man, right before his eyes. Like on the cartoons, on Tom and Jerry. You gotta be a little older to know about that. How they be talking, and it'll turn into a damn drumstick or something. You you gonna just turn into a drumstick into your neighbor's eyes, man. And he gonna get this crazy look in his eye. you know, you gonna have that crazy look. He gonna be talking to you. You gonna be in a trance. Whole time he thinking about how he gonna cut you up, man. You know, what part of your body is he gonna grill? You know, So yeah, cannibalism is coming back, man, in a big way. It's gonna be some difficult decisions made in that day. You're gonna be like, hey, do I eat my child today? Do I eat my dog tomorrow? Or do I eat my wife next week? Which one is gonna be? There's gonna be some difficult decisions made, man. So hey, while you watching Netflix, you need to be checking out some survival videos, man. You need to get with Bear Grylls, man. You need to get on some prepper videos, because you're gonna need it. And you already behind the curve, man. But as for me, man, I'm just gonna serve the Lord, and I'm gonna sit back and watch it all play out from a safe distance, Lord willing. You know, I'm gonna sit and let the Lord do His thing, man, and stay out of His way. Hey, the Lord said He's gonna protect me and my household, man. That's all I got to worry about. Anybody outside of that, you on your own. you know, you know. That's just how it is. So I'm gonna sit back and let the Lord do His thing, man. I'm gonna stand on His word, and like David says, man, you know, roughly paraphrasing, he never seen a man of the Lord begging bread, man. Never. You know, all the men they put their faith and trust in Yahweh Shemi Havashah, man. You know, none of them begging bread, man. So that's another thing. People see you out here on the highways and byways. They think you out here begging for money. You know, that's the first thing they say. Oh, get a job. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. You know, let's just say, I'm straight. you know, and it's all through the will of the Lord, man. You know, like Jake say, I'm straight. You know, don't give me too much, don't give me too little, man. Just put me right in the middle, right in the middle. That's why I am in the middle. Verse 11, I'm about to get ready to bounce, man. It's some rain starting, feeling a few drops. It says, verse 11, how ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. So yeah, Maktesh was like a merchant, a trading town, man. And and that's pretty much like a NYC, man. Where a lot of trading, buying, selling, and trading was going on back then. But fast forward today, man. You know, that's NYC, man. New York Stock Exchange, man. The trading capital of the world. And they said was gonna be cut off, man, when this market collapses. You know, you can only cook the books for so long. You know, the debt can't be paid back. You know, I don't care how many departments they cut, how many people they lay off. You can't pay back $36 trillion. It just ain't happening. So what they're gonna do now? They just gotta crash the dollar, man. They got to start over. And that's in the works as we speak, man. You about to get y'all some digital wallets. You about to be a token, man. From the QR codes, tokens, wallet addresses, man. So you can buy your bugs and your crickets, like Klaus Schwab said. You're gonna be eating with bugs, crickets, and mealworms, man. I forget the name of that video, but it came out during COVID, and it show you how you're gonna be living in these communities, something like smart cities, but you're gonna be tracked, surveilled, you know, all that. That's gonna go away, man. You're gonna have special privileges to even talk to a woman in that day, man. You're gonna have to do some big time cooning, you know. You're gonna have to be a good slave in order to be able to procreate, man. So that's what the elite got in store for you people, man. When this economy crashes, everything's going digital. No more cash. You can't get that Crown Royal bag of coins you got and take it and try to buy you something to eat, man. They're gonna ask you, where's your digital wallet? What's your web address, man? What's your wallet address? Select. You know, and you're gonna get up there and scan it with your arm, whatever the case may be, or they're gonna scan you with the gun. Say, okay, you got 20 tokens. Well, you can only get a bag of crickets today, man. You know? You can get you a turnip shake or something, man. You know that like that slime shit they was drinking in the Matrix or whatever the case may be. That's what they're gonna have you doing, man. All these Big Macs and steaks. That's gonna be for the elite. You know, so if you ain't in that capstone of that pyramid, you're gonna have you some barbecue crickets, you know? And or some sour cream and onion crickets. Or some ranch crickets. That's how you gonna mix it up too, bro. You're gonna have all that, all the flavors of crickets you want, man. You know? Getting a can of sardines is gonna be like eating a filet mignon, man. Or some potted meat, some spam. If you get your hands on some spam, man, you're gonna be talk of the town, man. They're gonna be jealous of you. Like, damn, he eating spam tonight. Ooh, wee. What's that? That nigga on the video. Come on, ooh, wee, they sleep, boy, they sleep. I gotta go find his video tonight. You know? So hey, man, we welcome these tariffs. I'm about to get out of here. It's starting to get a little wet out here. You know, hey, we welcome these tariffs. You know, that's what the man of the Lord. That's what we waiting on, man. We waiting for this place to be, brought to his knees, man. We ready to get the hell out of here. You know, we tired of being on the bottom. You know, we tired of all out wickedness, man. You know, I'm tired of seeing something I don't even know what it is, a man or a woman. You know, are you going these places? You see these women, they fucking studs and dykes. You know, everybody littered and tattoos. It's just, oh man, I can't take it no more, man. You know, everywhere you go is catfish on the menu. Catfish, shrimp, oysters. Oh man, it just vexes my spirit. You know, so hey man, we can't wait to get the hell out of here, man. You know, everybody just turned into a bunch of degenerates, man. And especially our people, man, the so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, they have completely gone backwards. You know, so hey man, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. It's getting a little wet. I still need my phone for next week camp. But man, like I said, hey, I pray this video was edifying, man. To the sense Yakin, man. To the elect. Be patient. Ain't going, man. We almost out this bitch. Before I get out of here, I'm gonna give all praises and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem, Kakadash. Shalom.